when I was a police officer, I watched more people get into this depressive state in the holiday season, which happened to be in the wintertime. It has to be related to seasonal affective disorder. But what are some things that we can actually do to remedy this thing called SAD? Snoring. Do you snore? Have you been told you snore? Have you had a blood test that indicated you snore? Are you sleeping in one of those Darth Vader masks called a CPAP that... You get the idea. I'm just trying to be funny. Snoring's a big deal, isn't it? But there is a patent. The United States government holds a patent for pain relief of marijuana, which is good.
That is why researchers are studying marijuana more and more and more for the treatment of a number of conditions, especially pain.
Yep. We see it every year. The days get shorter, the night gets longer, the dark gets more, and the light gets less. That's right. I'm talking about getting into the wintertime, and then we get this thing called SAD, seasonal affective disorder. It tends to happen over the time. That's why when I was a police officer, I watched more people get into this depressive state in the holiday season, which happened to be in the wintertime. It has to be related to seasonal affective disorder. But what are some things that we can actually do to remedy this thing called SAD?
Well, first things first is oftentimes just knowing whether or not it is seasonal affective disorder or true clinical depression or iron deficiency anemia or something else. So to have a lab panel done to where some of these things are checked, like what is your vitamin D level? What is your iron level? What are some of your other nutrient levels that might be at the root of the problem? Vitamin D. Why is that so important? When the sun goes behind the clouds in the wintertime, your vitamin D levels take a hit and they oftentimes start to go down. So if you just have a borderline normal vitamin D level in the summertime and the sun goes behind the clouds, that vitamin D level starts to drop off. Hence, here comes seasonal affective disorder. Well, isn't it just a simple remedy to take vitamin D to get that level up to where we don't have to go through this seasonal affective disorder?
I think so. And, a lot of people wonder how much they need to take. But here's the thing, folks. What we've seen over the last several years is the majority of people are either deficient or suboptimal in vitamin D. The ranges will go from probably 30 to about 150 or 120 in certain labs. We're talking about 25 hydroxy D that they measure, which is the active form. Having said that, it does take, in our experience, at least 5,000 international units or 125 micrograms, depending on what metric you use to measure, to get that up to a level that we believe is sufficient. We do not believe that 30 is sufficient. We like at least 50, so 50 becomes our bottom number. But we have seen that people need more of that. For example, people with darker skin, they need more vitamin D. People with lighter skin perhaps need less, but we've still seen it across the board that about 5,000 international units for people over, say, 12 years old is pretty standard.
Yes, and of course, we don't want people to get toxic on it, so to have your lab retested would be a good idea.
Yes.
Another thing that's very effective is light therapy. We have a small light in our, we call it our sauna room, our refresher room, our infrared sauna room. It's light therapy. And you can sit in there for 10, 15 minutes and it's like being outside. It stimulates the centers in the brain that are actually stimulated by sunlight. Of course, seasonal affective disorder is not just low vitamin D. It's actually the light that improves the emotional output of the brain.
Well, it does, because this little gland that we have back here called the pineal gland, when the lights go down, it starts creating this hormone called melatonin, early onset melatonin production. But as we see light, it stimulates the other one, cortisol. So cortisol gets us up, gets us moving, it gets us motivated, it gets us active to go hunt, chase down and conquer the day, right? That's what it does. And so we're talking about this sad living in this constant state of a lack of motivation. And believe it or not, you have to have cortisol to have some motivation.
True. And so perhaps if you work in an office setting that is perhaps on the darker side, you may want to change the lighting to a more natural lighting type of setting so that it stimulates the brain in a positive way. Also, getting outside, just breaking the monotony, getting outside and looking at the sun.
There's times during our day because in my office I don't have windows, and I'm like, oh my goodness,
It's a big
neither do you.
deal.
And it's like I got to get outside. So sometimes during the day, even in the wintertime, I don't care how cold it is. I'll get out and walk around the whole complex just because I'm trying to get some air and some space, and it does help. This whole idea about seasonal affective disorder is a real deal, and I don't think it becomes this thing that can't be overcome like every time if we just take these few steps and get us going in that direction.
Another thing that I know that works for me is exercise. We know that exercise, it's like your body's own pharmacy. It helps you create all of these endorphins, if you will. So if you're finding yourself having the moody blues or maybe a little bit of seasonal affective disorder, check and make sure that you're getting adequate exercise. That exercise also helps you get blood, oxygen, and nutrients to your tissues.
How much exercise per week do we need to do?
At least 150 minutes of aerobic activity is a good goal to set. Also, 3 days of resistance training would be a good goal to set.
So there you go. You got several things right there to eliminate this idea of seasonal affective disorder. We talked about red light therapy. We talked about get outside and get some sun. We talked about moving around. We talked about nutrients that we can bring into our system. We talked about exercise. All of these things matter in the idea of lowering this thing because we don't need to be suffering from seasonal affective disorder, especially in the wintertime. That's the time we have Christmas and holidays. Those should be good times.
That's right. We want to be optimal in those times. Make sure it's not another medical condition, that it's simply the change of the seasons.
So employ these things. Let seasonal affective disorder, or moreover, just let sad be a thing of the past and move your sad every day into glad, right? So think about that, and we're glad that we got to share these tips with you.
We're going to talk about healthy ways to minimize snoring.
Wow, that's a loaded question. Let's stop all snoring. Stay with us next. Our Kingdom Candy with a K again. 2 flavors. We got salted caramel and peanut butter. These are great. I mean, they're
kind of like a complete meal.
Yeah, they're 200 calories. People want to know that all the time, and not that we're worried about calories, but these things have great ingredients. They're not sweetened with sugars. They don't have those false sugars or fake sugars, artificial
They've got
sugars.
fiber in them.
They do. It's interesting. Salted caramel crunch is our newest flavor. We'll come up with some other stuff at some point, but those can bridge the gap of that sweet tooth craving. They're sweetened with monk fruit, and that's really, if you know what that is, it's not going to raise blood sugar.
It's really only 2 grams of sugar. I refer to it as the sweet without the cheat.
Any of these things out here are designed to be money-saving, nutrition-giving, and life-enhancing. And this is a big deal. So you'll find out, like thousands of other people did, that these things will help you live healthy longer.
Hey friends, you already know the answer to this, but we'll ask you anyway. If you stay away from your favorite junk food for a month and then go back to supersizing it, will your health improve?
Well, that's the thing about change. To change, we have to be as consistent as possible.
And when we go back to an old habit, it's not the end of the world. We just get back at the new habit.
Before you know it, real transformation is evident to you and others.
That's why we offer a bunch of helpful bonuses when you subscribe to Kingdom Fuel.
Kingdom Fuel is our complete nutritional meal shake.
It's the simple start to a transformed life, and we'll auto ship every month so you don't run out.
You'll receive 2 free shaker cups, free access to our video courses, and a monthly call with us filled with practical inspiration.
Just see the link below or on your screen and subscribe today. bioharmonizing, biosynergizing, stacking, resilience, or anti-fragility.
Start here. No gimmicks, just proven results. Wait a minute. Was that
What's
a snore?
happening here?
Was that a nasal problem? I don't know, but it was obnoxious. I just did that off the cuff right there. See, this can keep people awake. It can also take away your health. What are we talking about? We're talking about snoring. Do you snore? Have you been told you snore? Have you had a blood test that indicated you snore? Are you sleeping in one of those Darth Vader masks called a CPAP that you get the idea. I'm just trying to be funny. Snoring's a big deal, isn't it?
Snoring is a big deal, and there are degrees of snoring. The light little puppy snores might not actually lead to chronic health conditions, but loud, perpetual snoring, severe snoring, can actually lead to a condition called sleep apnea. And sleep apnea can lead to high blood pressure. It can also lead to what's called a dilated cardiomyopathy, which simply put means dysfunction or degeneration of heart function. So we want to talk today about a few ways that we can help snoring become minimal, if not extinct.
Well, we've seen it go away. Let me start right there. I've seen people that were perpetual snorers and had husband or wife complaining on them. And the first place we go is diet lifestyle, which perpetuates good body composition, because it just makes sense. You know, if you accumulate a bunch of extra fat up in this area here, it's going to constrict. I mean, that just makes perfect sense. And also another thing people should be aware of, big football players with big, strong, muscular necks typically snore. I remember when I was in college, the floor that had the athletes, you could actually hear people snoring in the hallway. I'm not kidding at all. It was crazy. You know, I'm thinking, good night. But this is the first way to fix it, to get the body composition minimized from excess fat tissue that accumulates, and that does help with snoring.
Well, even like individuals that are very muscular and have a large neck circumference, oftentimes they can be predisposed to snoring. So sometimes it's about the neck circumference. The other thing can be just simply the position of the head in bed. So if your head is falling backwards, that soft palate, you can literally feel the soft palate as you take your tongue across the roof of your mouth. It becomes a very soft area. That soft palate can fall backwards and obstruct the airway and cause this vibration in the throat. So oftentimes turning on your side and propping yourself with pillows on your side, if your side is uncomfortable to sleep with, finding a comfortable position that is away from sleeping on your back can also help.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people go to those positive airway pressures, the CPAP machine, and have a good success. I mean, it's sort of forcing a little bit of normal blood flow or normal airflow through there, which is fine. You know, it's not kidding. You do look like Darth Vader, but nonetheless, it's actually a good way to sort of deal with it. But my question is always, did that fix the original cause of the problem? And many times it doesn't, because a lot of people have additional problems with the CPAP. They get claustrophobic. They'll tear it off in the middle of the night. They don't like it. And they've never been told, how do you fix this? Another thing that people might want to try is those breathe right strips. We've had decent success with that from time to time.
People, if there is nasal congestion, or if people have nasal polyps or chronic allergies, they're going to have congestion in the nasal passage, which can lead, of course, to airway obstruction and sleep snoring, and then sleep apnea. Now, CPAPs are very, very, very essential if somebody has chronic sleep apnea. To get diagnosed with sleep apnea, of course, requires a sleep study, and there are more than one types of sleep apnea. Central apnea oftentimes is not just controlled with nasal strips, it's not controlled with weight loss, it's not controlled with nasal sprays and other things. We have to go on to a CPAP in order to keep the airway open with positive airway pressure so that we don't dilate the heart and cause other long-term physical problems.
No question. And we see people with the trouble breathing, trouble with snoring. We see them actually gain weight because they're producing a lot of cortisol at
That's
nighttime
right.
when they should be producing melatonin and sleeping. So it does disrupt sleep, and it can elevate blood pressure. And we've talked about this in previous shows about how some of the blood pressure medication can pull out nutrients as well, and that can become a secondary problem. So there's a lot to this. I think that if a person is out there and they're snoring, they need to know there's some positive steps they can go towards to get it remedied.
Well, and one of the most important things sleep apnea goes very underdiagnosed in women. And we have to think about hormones. When hormones change, the tissues and the strength and the viability of the tissues change and get softer and weaker, and therefore cannot hold the airway open. So having your hormones checked and balanced is very important to avoid snoring and the progression to sleep apnea.
So there you have it. All you ever want to know about snoring and more. It can be fixed. It can be corrected most times, and it certainly can be dealt with. Don't let it become a problem. Major problem. Don't let it keep you or your partner awake. We need our sleep. We'll do some more talks on sleep at some point, but certainly reach out to us if we can ever help you with any of this stuff, because it's second nature to us. And here's to a great night's sleep, absence snoring. So omega-3 essential fatty acids, sourced from a strategically placed fishing facility in the far South Pacific Ocean off the coast of Chile.
Each capsule delivers an impressive 1,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA, and the capsules also contain vitamin E. See the link below for a special offer, and remember, don't be fooled by cheap online knockoffs.
Our Kingdom Candy with a K again. Two flavors. We got salted
Delicious.
caramel and peanut butter. These are great. I mean, they're
kind of like a complete meal.
they're 200 calories. People want to know that all the time, and not that we're worried about calories, but these things have great ingredients. They're not sweetened with sugars. They don't have those false sugars or fake sugars or artificial
They've got
sugars.
fiber in them.
They do. It's interesting. Salted caramel crunch is our newest flavor. We'll come up with some other stuff at some point, but those can bridge the gap of that sweet tooth craving. They're sweetened with monk fruit, and that's really, if you know what that is, it's not going to raise blood sugar.
It's really only 2 grams of sugar. I refer to it as the sweet without the cheat.
Any of these things out here are designed to be money-saving, nutrition-giving, and life-enhancing, and this is a big deal. So you'll find out, like thousands of other people did, that these things will help you live healthy longer.
Our flagship product is called Kingdom Fuel. Tell us a little bit about Kingdom Fuel and why it's so good.
We saw people struggling with the idea and concept of it's too expensive to eat healthy. So we thought, okay, that's the problem. Let's find a solution. So we found a solution for $5 or under per meal, and that represented the birth of the idea of Kingdom Fuel. So Kingdom Fuel is organic pea protein. It's got greens and reds in it, so this is the phytonutrients from green plants and red plants that we all talk about. Eat your vegetables, right? It's also got vitamins and minerals in it, so it's got a complete complex of that. And it's got also soluble and insoluble fiber, which the difference between the two is profound. Soluble actually gathers moisture and makes you full, and the insoluble goes through the system and grabs things like damaged particles.
The body runs on nutrients, it doesn't run on medication. And Kingdom Fuel is a complete multivitamin and mineral. Marijuana is a really hot topic out there. It's used for a lot of different things medically. Is it necessary?
Let's talk weed. No, no. The bottom line is it's on the ballot in a lot of states. It has been legalized. There are various levels of legalization. There's legalized medical marijuana. There's legalized recreational marijuana. Um, from the standpoint, just as a holistic thing, we need to be cautious with the recreational marijuana. That's just my opinion because anything that is neurotoxic, we've got to be cautious with that because people need to be able to critically think. And I've also seen people that have utilized legalized recreational marijuana sort of bottom out their neurotransmitters where they really can become quite depressed or quite low in their mood.
Well, now I will be the first to admit that I am not a marijuana expert and I don't do physical exams
Yeah,
for medical or clinical use, but I know that it has a lot of clinical uses,
does.
and we'll talk about that in a minute. But one of the things I do know is that there are specific genes in the brain that have a specific sensitivity to this substance where if a person gets a hit of it, they can become psychotic or can change their behavior very quickly.
That is a great point. And there is, we do a ton of genetics. We actually test that one. And so, interesting enough, we've had a couple of cases. We didn't do the marijuana prescription, but we've
Well,
had
it
a
was
couple of
it was
cases.
it's recreational.
Yeah, it was recreational where a person did do that and then started walking out in front of cars trying to get hit because obviously that person most likely has that SNP, single nucleotide polymorphism in their genes that actually causes that receptor,
Psychosis.
yeah, psychosis of marijuana. So you got to be careful about that. But there is a patent. The United States government holds a patent for pain relief of marijuana,
Well,
which is good.
that is why researchers are studying marijuana more and more and more for the treatment of a number of conditions, especially pain.
Yep.
Cancer pain is brutal. We know that a lot of times at end of life on cancer, people end up on morphine and heavy narcotics, which
Yep.
actually create all kinds of crazy side effects like hallucinations or ants crawling on the skin where marijuana doesn't seem to do that.
No, I think that I'm a big supporter of, palliative care, things like that, where people are, having difficult pain issues. I would be very supportive of that over things like chronic morphine, for example, right? At the same time, we've got to really understand that everybody can be in pain from time to time. And so that can't become the thing that drives the prescription all the time because if it is, we're not getting behind the cause of the pain. Sometimes the cause of the pain is things that we need to do, things that we are doing, or things that we could be doing, and we're actually the cause of it, or some things that we don't know that we need to do to relieve the pain. We don't want to go towards just the remedy of turning off the noise of pain without talking about the cause of the pain and remediating the cause. So, I mean, we're for it in a sense, but we've got to be very cautious of it.
Now, another thing that I've seen clinically is there are a lot of people that have chronic problems with insomnia, and they've gone
Mm,
to
yep.
doctor after doctor and sought medication after medication. And some of these medications actually have pretty significant side effects, like walking in their sleep
Oh,
in the nighttime and eating in the nighttime and doing crazy things. Whereas the marijuana prescription has actually helped chronic insomniacs finally get the sleep or the rest that they need without the side effects.
totally. It does produce anti-anxiety. It can give you the munchies. That's just need to know that. I'm talking about THC or the tetrahydrocannabidiol. That's the thing. Now, there's also full spectrum hemp that has the cannabidiol in it, but doesn't have the level of neurotoxic THC. That also can be very good to be used for the same thing you're talking about for sleep. And many times it works just as good because it's both the THC and the full spectrum hemp are both anti-anxiolytic. They both are, except the full spectrum hemp doesn't create the munchies with it, right? So the munchies could create, inappropriate weight gain, which is not a good thing. So, but people are using it to sleep and they are using it to, kind of tone the stress down of life.
It's also, when you say the munchies, it has been used a lot in medical circles for the person who has cachectic weight loss from
That's
cancers
right.
or GI dysfunction. So it does help them have an appetite.
It does, and I had an experience with it from a whole different angle. Seizures, right? It has been used in children that have had epileptic seizures with some success. And I remember having a guy that I used to work with that had to, because it wasn't legal in our state at the time, had to pick up his family, move to another state so his daughter could have what she needed because it kept it under control. So there's obviously something out there. It is a plant. You always have to watch too, folks, the way it's bred today, because there is a natural level of THC in the natural growth of the crop, but you can actually genetically alter it to create more THC than probably it normally would have. Don't know the effects of that. And I suppose when you genetically alter something, it does and has unintended consequences.
There is something that's been very, very hard to treat in the medical world, and that's called PTSD, post
That's right.
traumatic stress disorder. And all different kinds of drugs have been used, including benzodiazepines, antidepressants, bipolar medications, et cetera, and otherwise, and it doesn't work.
Mm-mm.
Even counseling, neurofeedback, just different brain retraining things don't work. And there are studies that are starting to come forward that say that a little THC may actually be helpful in these individuals.
I totally agree. I'd rather somebody do a little THC in situations like that than live with that post-traumatic stress disorder and be addicted to sort of these hardcore narcotics. It's just not good. I think that, and please understand, folks, we are um, having this discussion with a little temperance and moderation of balance here, because I want you to not rely on just PTSD. I got PTSD, so therefore I've got PTSD. Stop. Try to fix it on your own and correct it on your own. Do some things with clinician help to try to work through it before you got to go down the pathway and just accept that you got it. Life is hard. And you're going to have stuff come at you. Some is your fault, some is not, some is traumatic, some is not. But, THC can be used as a benefit at times. Does it need to be a fallback all the time? I don't think so. So this is a huge discussion. Obviously, we just kind of touched the surface of it, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight to, where and how it can be used appropriately.
Let's shine the spotlight on one of our star supplements.
The human body can make most of the types of fats it needs from other fats or raw materials, but not omega-3 fatty acids, also called omega-3 fats or N3 fats.
These are essential fats that the body must get from food.
Biomega 1000 provides